Ever notice how the word peace gets tossed around like confetti at a parade, yet somehow we're still arguing over parking spots? It's almost like we've agreed on the destination, but can't decide whether to take the highway or the scenic route through a minefield. Now, imagine you're somehow appointed Supreme Coordinator of Human Harmony. Congratulations, by the way. Your job is to convince 8 billion people speaking 7,000 languages, worshiping different gods or none at all, to agree on literally anything. Where do you even start? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Peace isn't just the absence of war. It's the presence of justice, equality, full bellies, and the belief that tomorrow won't be worse than today. You can't exactly mandate that with a strongly worded memo. Think about it this way. What fuels most conflicts? Resources, ideology, or good old-fashioned, that's mine, not yours. Water, oil, land, pride, historical grudges that make your family Thanksgiving look like a love fest. The mechanics of discord are practically baked into how we organize ourselves. So you need to solve scarcity first, right? Ensure everyone has access to food, water, shelter, healthcare, education, the basics. Except basics cost trillions, and someone has to foot the bill. Good luck getting nations to agree on splitting that check when they can't even agree on climate policy. Then there's the ideology problem. Picture trying to reconcile every religion, political system, and cultural value into one harmonious playlist. Some people want theocracy, others want democracy, and a few just want to be left alone with their goats. Finding common ground requires either miraculous empathy or a really good mediator with infinite patience. Let's say you wave a magic wand and redistribute resources fairly suddenly. Nobody's starving or dying of preventable diseases. Sounds utopian until you realize humans compete for status, not just survival. We'll argue over who has the better lawn ornament if there's nothing else to fight about. And what about all those historical wounds? Borders drawn by colonial powers, genocides remembered across generations, land disputes older than your great-great-grandfather? Forgiveness is beautiful in theory, but wickedly difficult when the guy next door's ancestors burned down your ancestors' village. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Sometimes it just lets them fester quietly. Here's where it gets interesting. Peace would require dismantling the systems that profit from conflict. The arms trade alone is worth hundreds of billions annually. Defense contractors, mercenary groups, even entire national economies depend on tension and war. Convincing them to pivot to, say, eco-friendly infrastructure is like asking a shark to become vegetarian. You'd also need a global authority actually capable of enforcing rules without becoming tyrannical. The United Nations tries, bless its heart, but it's essentially a debate club with no real teeth. Any body powerful enough to impose peace might also be powerful enough to become the very oppressor people would rebel against. Classic catch-22. Cue the tech optimists who believe artificial intelligence or some miraculous innovation will solve everything. But technology is neutral. It amplifies whatever we feed it. Give humanity unlimited energy and we'll find new things to compete over. The problem isn't the tools, it's the hands holding them. Imagine a world where every border is open, every weapon destroyed, every grievance addressed through dialogue. It sounds like a poster you'd find in a guidance counselor's office, but achieving it would require humans to fundamentally rewire how we think about tribe, nation, and us versus them. Education might be the secret weapon here. Raise a generation that sees shared humanity before national identity, that values cooperation over domination. Except education systems are controlled by governments with their own agendas, so good luck keeping propaganda out of the curriculum. Even the most well-meaning lesson plan can't compete with parents teaching ancient hatreds at the dinner table. Some philosophers argue we'd need to abolish private property, that ownership itself breeds conflict. Share everything equally, and suddenly there's nothing to fight over, right? Except history shows us that communal experiments often collapse under the weight of human nature. We're a species that hoards snacks and gets territorial about armrests on airplanes. Then there's the question of enforcement. Who watches the watchers? Any peacekeeping force strong enough to prevent war is also strong enough to wage it. You'd need checks and balances so intricate that even constitutional scholars would need aspirin. And the moment one group feels oppressed by the system, rebellion brews again. Let's talk about the economic angle. War is expensive, sure, but peace requires infrastructure, institutions, healthcare, education, all costly investments. Transitioning from a conflict economy to a peace economy means retraining soldiers, repurposing factories, restructuring entire industries. That's not a weekend project. That's generations of work. Picture the world's leaders sitting around a table, genuinely committed to peace. They'd need to surrender sovereignty, accept international law, and trust their neighbors not to backstab them. Trust, by the way, is the rarest commodity on Earth, harder to mine than diamonds, and easier to shatter than glass. What about human psychology? We're tribal by nature, wired to favor our own group and suspect outsiders. Millennia of evolution don't evaporate because we signed a treaty. Overcoming that requires either genetic engineering, yikes, or cultural evolution so profound it makes the Renaissance look like a rough draft. Some say religion could unite us, but history suggests otherwise. Even within single faiths, people splinter into sects that despise each other. Spirituality might offer personal peace, but organized religion has justified as many wars as it's prevented. The divine, it seems, speaks in suspiciously contradictory voices. Environmental collapse might paradoxically be our best shot at unity. Nothing says, let's cooperate, like a planet on fire. Climate change doesn't care about borders, ideologies, or whose God is real. Survival could force collaboration, though by then we might be too busy rationing water to pat ourselves on the back. Here's the satirical twist. We've never actually tried real peace. What we call peace is usually just the intermission between wars. Temporary ceasefires, uneasy truces, cold wars simmering beneath polite diplomacy. Genuine, lasting, global peace? That's science fiction territory, right next to teleportation and faster than light travel. Critics would argue that conflict drives innovation, that competition breeds excellence. Remove all tension and humanity might stagnate into complacent mediocrity. Maybe we need a little friction, just enough to keep us sharp without burning the house down. Finding that balance is the real trick. So what would it actually take? Unlimited resources, perfect equality, flawless communication, universal empathy, and a collective amnesia about every historical grievance. Oh, and we'd need to fundamentally redesign human nature while we're at it. Simple, right? Despite every peace summit, treaty, and Nobel Prize, the same patterns persist. New conflicts erupt, old ones reignite, and the cycle continues with different players wearing the same costumes. Innovation in weaponry advances faster than innovation in diplomacy, because apparently we're better at destruction than construction. The irony is thick enough to cut with a knife we all claim to want peace while preparing for war. Defense budgets dwarf peace budgets by margins that would make mathematicians weep. We toast to harmony while stockpiling arsenals, just in case. Maybe the question isn't what would it take, but whether we're even capable. Humans are paradoxes, simultaneously capable of breathtaking compassion and horrifying cruelty. We build hospitals and bombs, write poetry and propaganda, extend hands and throw punches. Expecting consistency from a species this contradictory might be the real fantasy. Yet here's the thing, impossibility has never stopped us before. We've cured diseases, split atoms, walked on the moon, connected the entire planet through invisible networks. If we applied even half that ingenuity to peace, who knows? Stranger things have happened than 8 billion humans agreeing on something for once. So that's the equation behind the dream. Part logistics, part psychology, part miracle. Whether it's achievable or just a beautiful delusion we tell ourselves to sleep better at night remains the ultimate unanswered question. But one thing's certain, tomorrow's conflicts will likely look a lot like yesterday's, just with better special effects.